Sion, dudes, 80/20 marketing guy. If you hear a little construction noise behind me, that's because I'm operating with the windows open. So, if you're not familiar with it, this is not my usual weekly segment. This is the other weekly video. This is Questions and Cocktails, aka Drunk Q&A, 80/20 marketing guy. Every week, I answer your most burning marketing questions, all the while drinking spirits. So for this week, oh, did I not bring the bottle? Forget it. For this week, the deep amber in this glass that you see is none other than Kings County peated bourbon. And this week's question comes from my friend Michael Smith via the internets. Michael asks, suggestion, drink higher quality scotch during your Q&A and your YouTube session will go off the rails more slowly. I don't know if there's any hope for that. Marketing question, how do you reach hard to reach clients like CEOs of medium-sized companies? This is going to be one that's a little bit challenging for me, because it's something that I'm in the midst of myself. And just to give you guys a little bit of context, I know I mess around on YouTube and I like to get drunk while answering questions, but I just closed a 4-figure consulting deal to help someone launch a course. So the challenge for me becomes, it's actually easier to find people to pay me $5,000 to $10,000 to manage a funnel for them than it is to get someone to opt into a mailing list for free. So when I think about building traffic via the internet, what we're really doing is we've got our kind of core elements that we use for consulting, like word of mouth, referrals, and networks. And those are kind of the old school things that have a really, really high conversion rate, because I think we human beings still trust our friends and colleagues to refer people to us. But what we want to do is to bolster that by getting a traffic flow from the internet as well. So I do know there are some things that are tried and true on the internet. And when we talk about B2B consulting or B2B offerings as distinct from B2C, B2B meaning we're selling products or services to other businesses. So here's the thing about CEOs and upper management in small businesses, is they're generally not looking at Facebook ads about how to start your small business. So a lot of the tactics that, if those of us who come from the B2C, if we're used to doing that, are not necessarily going to be as effective in B2B. But I'll tell you what media startup founders and upper level management do consume, which is blogs like Business Insider, Entrepreneur, even things like SumoMe, podcasts, things like This Week in Startups and Mixergy, and LinkedIn. I like to start from the surefire strategies and work backwards. What that means is that if you have an expertise that's singular and valuable to your market, and those of us who are doing consulting already, we understand that we've got something that people value. If you work on those tried and true kind of long-term solutions, so what are those? Those are appearances on the brand name podcasts, guest posts or syndication on these big business platforms, and also niche specific platforms. So for instance, I do conversion rate optimization, so something like the Crazy Egg blog, the Daily Egg, would be a great place to post. So we want to make sure that our strategy includes the sort of long game of being able to post on those sites and get people back to our website, but we also give ourselves a shot at some of the shorter term tactics. So what are the shorter term tactics? By that, I'm talking about PPC, pay per click. So social, display ads. I'm also talking about outbound lead generation, which is when you scrape a list of people, usually with a buying behavior in common. And just to call Michael out a little bit, he's got a company that helps people with Cold Fusion, which is a coding language. So he can micro target people. Even though he's asking me, he's kind of trying to challenge me. He has a strategy on LinkedIn where he knows how to target people exactly by their affinity with Cold Fusion and then attract them back so that he can pitch to them. And he's got that super well dialed in. Let's go through this top to bottom. The first thing I would try as I'm deploying my content and syndication efforts and efforts to get on podcasts, in the background is kind of a low-level hum, is very first and foremost, I would try some super low-hanging fruit pay-per-click. So I would put up an ad on AdWords, run that to a landing page, see how many clicks I got. If I got a decent number of clicks, I would optimize that landing page to see how many opt-ins I got. If that worked, I would put a $99 Tripwire product at the other end of that, see how many people I got to opt in for that. I would do something like a funnel audit. And in Michael's case, he could do a Cold Fusion audit, and he and I have actually discussed this before. And at the other end of that, you sell a certain percentage of those people to a call. So that's all well and good in fiction and theory. And what'll happen a lot in real life is that you'll get a decent click-through rate from the ads, and hardly any of those people will opt onto your mailing list. And those that do will be absolutely garbage leads. So try that for a couple weeks. When you dispense with PPC, next I would move on to outbound lead generation. So for outbound, if like Michael, the people you're targeting have a super obvious affinity in common, you can use tools like LinkedIn to target them there. You can also use things like BuiltWith. So just for instance, I'm thinking of targeting people who use ClickFunnels to build their site, because Russell's got a great template and funnel in a box system for people so they don't need to invest in the whole diaspora of web designer, web developer, etc. But those people still need to understand product market fit and copy and so forth. Anyway, so one tool I might use to scrape a list of people who use ClickFunnels is BuiltWith. So say you make a couple good guesses at prospects, you use a tool like QuickMail to do outbound lead gen to them. Odds that that's going to succeed, you have to factor your time, but if you email 1,000 people and you get 0 customers from it, I'd say it's probably time to move on. And all the while, you know that you've got these syndication and sort of long-term podcast and content strategies, guest posts, working in your favor. And the last thing I'll say is allow serendipity to play a part. And Michael's super big into this, intuition. So it's like, just for instance, the forum on which I posted the question that Michael responded to is called The Forge. So I was invited to join that group. It's a private group. And it just so happens that a bunch of people are posting about super interesting issues related to entrepreneurship. So I started interacting with them, started posting, so maybe something will come out of The Forge. Who knows? But you want to put yourself in the situation for those serendipities to happen. So hierarchy, referrals, network, it's always going to be a winner. Long-term, content marketing, syndication, guest posts on those trusted platforms, and then put those trust logos on your website. And then below that, if you can get outbound to work, great. But if you don't fret. Below that, PPC. If you get a quick win with PPC, that's always great, but don't give up if you don't. So those are my strategies. So guys, now it's time to do a little bit of inbound lead gen of my own. If you've got a sales funnel, chances are you're probably losing money somewhere in it. And unlike the average conversion consultant, I don't give 3 shits about optimizing conversion rates in isolation. The only thing I care about is taking more people who see your offer and turning them into customers, which is an entirely different approach to the way you optimize your funnel. But I've got a quick start guide for you on my website. Right now, if you go to the link on the screen and just click on it, you can download my 3-step report to stop losing money in your funnel completely free. Get the report, see the value it creates for you. I'll be back in another video Q&A very soon. Nate Frey, Between Marketing Guy.